It is Wednesday evening once again, and that means it's time for another Auburn Family Night. This is the show that's all about you, your comments, your questions, your calls, all that's coming up. We're going to talk about the Auburn experience. Let's get into all of that right now. War Eagle, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, the Auburn Experience. Here we talk about that experience. What is it? We define it as Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff to get everything else in there. A more finer way to say it, a more simpler way to say it. If it's orange and blue, it is what we do. And that is never more true tonight on our Wednesday night Auburn Family Night. This is a show that's all about you guys, our viewers, especially of those of you that are watching live. We'd love to interact with you, talk with you about what's on your minds, what's on your hearts, on your souls, therapy session if you need it, for all the different things that are Auburn related out there. So don't be shy. Jump into the chat right now and let us know what is on your mind. You can also start the show off, whether you're watching live or on the replay, by smashing the like button. It's a huge help for us. Lets people know that we're live, lets people know to come by and check this out. And if you can do that for us, that is a great thing. Also, let us know that you're here. However you'd like to announce yourself with a War Eagle, you can even check in with us. There's this very special day today. You could just simply say, hey. More on that in just a second. Those are all things that you can do. We're going to get into a bunch of that different stuff tonight. All right. So with every Auburn Family Night, we have our live call-in link that you can take part in that is available now. It's only available on YouTube, though. So if you're watching somewhere else, if you're catching the replay as well, you won't be able to access it. But on YouTube, you'll have to come to the live chat. It should be pinned up there at the top. All you got to do is hit the link, and then we'll pull you into the show as soon as we're ready to start taking some callers so you can get in line now. So that's available for you. Don't be shy. Give it a try. We have some regular callers that usually are in here, and we'll hear from them in just a little bit, I'm sure. It's always brought to you by our friends at allthingsauburn.net. It's a great place to stay at Auburn, but not just to stay at Auburn, but a great place to stay and have a great Auburn experience. So check them out at allthingsauburn.net. We can talk about them some more if you'd like to throughout the stream if you ever need a word about them. So let's dive into it tonight. Start posting some comments, questions. Let us know that you're here. Let's talk about a few things. Today, let me not even waste time. It is a very special day, and it is Auburn Hay Day. Now, look, I'm not going to dive into the nuance and all of the history behind why we call this A-Day, or excuse me, A-Day, Hay Day. A-Day and Hay Day, that can get confusing. But it is a very important day in Auburn tradition and Auburn history, and a way to bring the Auburn family together to just simply say, hey, a way to get to know each other when you were on campus, even when you're off campus. We had a great response today from those of you on Facebook, especially, that really jumped in on that with our graphic that we put out there and asked you to tell us hello or hey, and War Eagle, however you wanted to, and where you're saying that hey from. So thank you guys for participating that in today, especially those of you that may be watching on Facebook tonight. Obviously, we are sitting in the middle of another game week. The bye week is gone. All of the ease of last week is gone. Now we start shifting our attention to a little bit of what are we going to see on game day in Columbia very early? That's on the table. SEC tip-off for Auburn men's and women's and just SEC basketball in general across the board has been happening this last couple of days. Tip off at Toomer's is tomorrow. We got soccer going. We got volleyball going. We got equestrian going. We got tennis. We got golf. We got cross country. We got non-sports stuff happening. Folks, the Auburn experience is in full force tonight, and there is plenty to discuss. So let's get into it and start talking about a few of the things that maybe you want to discuss tonight. Dalton wants to, the jokes get old sometimes. He says, wait, is something wrong? Are you okay, Kyle? 2 minutes early. If you'll notice on these nights, I typically go live a little bit earlier. I do it quite often if you're not here right at the start. There's some reasons for that I won't get into, but it certainly is something I try to do on these Auburn family nights. One of the things that I was wanting to do, a lot of y'all saw a video. It's an old homecoming video that I think is still to this date one of the best homecoming videos that Auburn Productions has ever put out that we played some clips from. The struggle that I'm having is I want to use that as our intro to Auburn Family Night every single week. The problem is that you get dinged for it. You can't monetize your videos, which it does. Obviously, we don't get a ton of money from these things, just pulling the curtain back for you guys. But I'm willing to forgo that if we won't get in trouble for utilizing it for the band song that's behind it and stuff like that. So I'm kind of experimenting with some things. So I was almost a little bit late tonight, but I wasn't. Stan is here. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Stan says, I want to know the percentage of a bowl game. Well, I don't have a percentage for you if that's what you're asking, but what I will tell you that I think it's still less likely that we make a bowl game than we do. Now, this Saturday is a chance to really shift gears, to really change the trajectory of this season. If you can go into Columbia against a formidable Missouri team and get a win, then that percentage of confidence, if that's what we're looking for here in this question, of us making a bowl game goes drastically up. Not a sure thing still, but certainly it's a lot better than if we don't get this game. And I would say the same thing for the Kentucky game. This next stretch of 3 games, this will, I know it's redundant, it will determine whether Auburn makes a bowl game or not. And I know we're all hoping for that because the more reps, the better for this very, very young but very talented Auburn football team. Let's see what else here. We got a caller waiting. We'll get him in here in just a minute. David, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Chris, appreciate that. When it's late, it's because Kyle's waiting on Austin to go with it. No, it's not Austin. I'm not going to let y'all. Sometimes it is Austin, but sometimes it is simply me panicking about something, thinking something's not right. On the setup here seems a little bit more simple than you guys probably are aware of. But there's monitors, there's lights, all that stuff, and we constantly are toying with it to continue to make it better. At least trying to make it better. I don't know. Let's see here. Stan says we did on College 25. I think it was 31-7. Are you talking about our simulation? Don't bury the lead, Stan. They're supposed to watch the video. Watch the video. We need the hits. We need the views. All that good stuff. Don't bury the lead there. That's not burying the lead. Don't give away the nugget at the end of it. I can always tell when people comment on the video and they haven't watched the full thing because it's always funny that way. But I appreciate those of you that watch it up. Let's see here. Mr. Beautiful says, I feel good about our team the second half of the season. If you take what felt like some progress over the last couple of games, and when you couple that with a bye week where you're maybe able to heal up, to figure some things that aren't working out, then you're certainly going to have reasons to be optimistic. Now, it's not a sure thing, but it is certainly very easy to make a more optimistic case about this team going forward into the second half, especially when you factor in some of the things that have happened in college football that make things not so daunting, maybe. A lot of reasons to feel optimistic, especially if you're not one of these Debbie Downer types of people. Robbie says that turnovers and running depends on the rest of the season. Turnovers, 100% agree with you. This running narrative that is just being overdriven these days about Auburn, the basic premise of it is Auburn has to run the ball more. And while I don't disagree with that, I also think that we are being a little bit too limited in our thinking about that. Coach Freeze even addressed that in his press conference this week, talking about how it's not so much the amount, it's about what we're doing in key situations with it. We've got great numbers right now outside of short yardage situations, which we are not proficient at whatsoever. And those are very critical downs. There's been a lot of discussion, a lot of buzzwords from Coach Hugh Freeze this last week, especially about critical downs on offense and on defense. That's one of those things, is being able to get those small yardages. So I do want to see improvements in the run game, but I also don't think it's as simple as run the ball more. Dalton wants a full picture of the setup. I mean, you guys are seeing right now, and I can pull the shot out a little bit further. There's nothing exciting to see back here and back here. I promise you. I mean, I do have the footballs that used to sit up here haven't been moved over there just because there was issues with lighting glares, and I like that look better anyway. It kind of completes everything. Even though you can't see the pennant behind it, it kind of fills in that space a little bit. I can see it when I stand up. It makes me feel better. But who knows? Maybe one day. I mean, there's truly nothing for you back here except for a monitor, a light, a bunch of cords, and all those things. But if that's something that you find valuable, maybe I'll give it to you in the Conquer Club one day. Let's see here. Stan with a great question. So for those of you that are wondering about the college football 25 game and simulation that we do every single week, that is not me playing. If you see that view of it, actually looks like it's on a TV type of, I know it's computer, it's a video game, but that view of looking out like a TV camera would, that is computers running it. There's no way that I know of for me to play the game like that, nor would I be able to play the game effectively like that. When you play the game, you are behind center, or you're behind center regardless, because if you're on defense, you're trying to catch them this way. So if you see that view, it is always the simulations are always the computers. I will be honest with you too. All of the simulations have been run once, unless they had a glitch, which has happened 1 or 2 times, but it was like 1 minute into the game. There was one game where I did run it a couple times simply because things were just so odd. Like, it was just ridiculous what was happening, not in a good way. So there's one game, and I won't go into what it was, but that's how thorough and interesting, I guess that is. All right, we'll hang in there, caller. We'll get you in just a second. We'll let me try to catch up here and chat a little bit. Corey says we need to get too tall. Isaiah Miller back on the other line. I hope he's not going to be out a whole season. He has been struggling the entire time. What's going on, Autumn? Good to see you. And I already talked to your hubby. So yes, you will see me tomorrow at Tipoff at Toomer's. Beautiful pick of Cam Newton. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Let me go back out to I forgot I was in this view. Let's go back. I like this kind of view better. We're getting close to, as well as to redoing the backdrop of not my backdrop, but the backdrop of all this to something different soon-ish. There's a special episode coming up very soon for the Auburn Experience podcast, which is the flagship show. So we'll probably be doing some things that then. All right. Corey, Kyle has his Spider-Man wall. He won't show anyone. Corey, you're not far off. You are not. There is a wall over here of non-Auburn stuff that is not for you all. I do some other things on the side from time to time that if you can find me, you might see the other side of the wall. I'm just going to put that out there for you. Not for you guys, though. Okay, we've got our caller who's been very patient. You guys keep your comments and questions coming in, and we'll address them as appropriate. And we'll go and take our first caller of the evening. You know him, you love him. He's one of our good optimists. Mr. Kevin, what's going on, sir?
I think Jaquez Hunter will have a breakout game against Missouri.
I think he's already had a breakout game, but I would like another one. We can't go any further before I ask you, what is the F on that hat? What does that stand for?
Fairview.
Okay, I thought Kevin had switched to the other orange and blue of Florida. I was really concerned there for a second. I know you were wearing the jersey, but I see that F and I'm like, uh-oh, we got a problem. I know, I see it.
Number 3, Jeremiah Cobb.
Jeremiah Cobb. I figured that's maybe who you're wearing that for. Or Ronnie Brown,
hey,
McCaleb, all of them.
Hey, where's the Tara McCaleb playing at?
I don't think he's playing anymore. I don't know that he didn't have a very long career from what I understand in pro football. But I don't think he's playing anymore.
How about Peyton Barber?
You know, Peyton Barber kind of fell off the map. I haven't seen him on an NFL roster in a long, long time. But for a while there, it looked like it was the Buccaneers I think he was doing well with. So
Hey, where's Seth Williams at?
We're just going to go down the whole list, aren't we? I have no clue. I think Seth is not playing in the NFL right now.
Nitz and Jarrett Stidham is at Broncos. They're playing more than that.
Yep, they're there. You've got Carlton Davis, Jamil Dean, CJ Uzama just got back on the squad. You've got Jeremy and Sherwood on the
Jamie, I think on the Sherwood.
Yeah, he's on the Jets. And trying to think of it. Roger McCreary's still out there.
You got Derek Brown.
Yep. Derek Brown. How do we forget him? Lots of people.
And Roger McCreary is at Tennessee.
I thought he got traded. I could be wrong, but I thought he got traded from the Titans.
And I think this weekend you will see a different Auburn team.
I sure hope so. You would hope with a extra week of work and an extra week of just getting to reevaluate everything. That certainly figures that you can figure a lot more things out there.
Hey,
I hope you're right.
I think we can beat Alabama now.
Well, I would say you're a lot more that prediction holds a lot more water off the last 2 weeks than it did before then.
Because Ron Williams tore up his ACL.
Well, I don't know about that because I don't really pay attention to outside of looking at the results of the game. I don't really pay attention to what's been going on there, but I don't think one player dictates success or not. If it does, you weren't a good team anyway. So,
and I think Georgia have a chance to beat Texas.
If they play better than they did against us, I think Texas is probably going to be your best overall team in the SEC, which is weird to say. This season, I'm not saying they won't fall at least once, but as long as, well, for their sake, I mean, not for we don't care if they win or lose, but for their sake, if they don't win one or lose one in the playoff process, then they'll be doing just fine.
I think Cam Coleman will have a breakout game against Missouri.
Cam is due for one of those games that we've all expected.
Or number 5.
Number 5, you're talking about Lambert Smith?
Yes.
Oh, well, he's had plenty of breakout games. There's no more. He doesn't need to have a breakout game. He just needs to do what he's been doing. That's all we need is Lambert Smith to get open, score us a touchdown a game, keep pushing up close to that 100-yard mark, and he's going to be one of the most prolific wide receiver years that Auburn's had in quite some time.
I think Jaquez Hunter will get 1,000 yards before the season's over.
I don't know where he's at currently. I could probably look that up for you, but I think we are a ways off from that, my friend.
Hey, when the first basketball game regular season?
Regular season, you asked, not the preseason? Well, I'm looking up the other thing for you right now. So if someone in the chat can look that up for us, I think it's November 16th or 17th or something like that, but it'll be against Vermont. Now, I will be at the preseason game in Auburn. They just announced the second one that's going to be at Furman, which they typically do. What's like this? It's not a secret, but I guess it's called a closed door scrimmage every single year. They just don't announce it. So they're finally doing it for charity this time.
I wish I was going tomorrow night.
To which one?
The tip-off thing.
Oh yeah, I'm going. I should have remembered that. Yes, we would love to see you there, but obviously it's a long trip for one big event. But we do it for you guys. Here, I got your answer to your question or your topic you brought up. Jarquez currently has 528 rushing yards, so he's a little bit behind in 6 games, which means he's got to have average 100-yard rushing. Well. No, if he averages 100 a game, he'll get the 1,000.
He will have 100 against Missouri.
If he has just over 100, I feel better about our game. If he has a big amount over 100, then I feel a lot better about it.
I think Jaquez Hunter will have 7 touchdowns in that game.
Ever the optimist. But we'll see.
Somebody agree with me on Sunday night. Oh no, Monday night.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you guys are right. I have my doubts about it, but I've been a little bit jaded since the rough start to the season. But maybe you're right.
And Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama, will be at the Auburn and Vanderbilt game.
Awesome. All right. Well, give us your score prediction to end our call.
35-14 Auburn.
35-14. You heard it here first. Auburn beats Missouri. The real Tigers win in Columbia. Kevin, thank you for calling, buddy.
I hope I'll see you at the basketball games too.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle, Kevin.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so our good friend Kevin, who likes to call in every week. You guys can too by making sure that you hit that link in the top of the chat here on YouTube. Don't be shy. I know it can be a little bit intimidating. Give it a try. You don't have to be on camera like Kevin was. There's an option when you click it to just, to say, no, I don't want the camera on. There's no shame in that. It happens a lot. A lot of people just want to say their piece and get out of here. But don't be shy. Seriously. Even if you just want to give it a shot, I promise this night is for you guys. It's about you. Otherwise, I just sit here and talk the entire time. That's why we like hearing from some of our regulars. Want to hear some of you we haven't heard from before. Let's see here. Okay, we got a clarification. I could have looked it up while I was finishing up with Kevin. Vermont for November 6th from Chris has given us that clarification. That's your first regular season game, followed up quickly by a matchup with Houston in Houston, but not at their place at a neutral site. So, it's going to be a fun but very tough, very, very tough basketball season. Let's see. Auburn, no, guys, Auburn men have to hate Bama more. I agree with that. I completely agree with that. This new wave of almost or kind of hating Georgia just as much. That's a no-go for me. That's a no-go. Yes, 313. We all could be a little more like Kevin and be much better off as people. So now are we just doing rankings of our most hated rivals? I mean, to me, I think even if you disagree on your own personal list, you have to put Bama, Georgia, LSU just based off of recency. But I think if we had not had this odd gap of not playing Florida as often as we should have for so long, it would be Auburn. Auburn. Well, Auburn's is his own worst enemy. Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and then probably Tennessee and LSU in history. People will probably disagree with that a little bit, but that's how I feel about it. You don't have to agree. It's just the way it is in my mind and the way it should be for the majority of us. While I've got it up, in case you're interested, our leaders for the year in ESPN, Peyton, obviously, with 1,200 passing yards, rushing yards, 528 for Jarquez, Keandre, Lambert Smith with 510. He has some work to do to get over that 1,000 yards for the year. Dorian Mausi Jr. with 31 total tackles is our leader there. And we have a bunch of people with just one interception. Jaron Thompson is the one that's listed right now. I'd like to see that change. All right. What else? What else is on y'all's minds? Are y'all excited about Tipoff at Toomers? That's what we have in our cue card here on the page with us to kind of get you something to think about and talk about. Obviously, I can talk a little bit about it when I get back. I hope that you all are following us on all social media so that you know when we're posting some stuff there. I'll do my best to post some stuff from that tomorrow. The plan right now is to try to get there before lunch. I have a couple of things that I want to do in the early afternoon around Auburn, some business stuff before that, but I'm pretty much going to try to be at the site around 4 when it technically opens up for this entertainment district thing that they're building for the full day. The game isn't till 7, or the stuff isn't till 7:30, I believe. I can bring that up in a second, actually, or not bring it up, but talk about it. But there's going to be stuff to post throughout the day and talk about. All right, more list here. 313 says 1 Bama, 2 UGA, 3 LSU, 4 Florida, 5 Ole Miss. Ole Miss has just recently, in my mind, become more of a relevant thing. And some of that goes across multiple sports, so it's almost like I can't even count it because it's a multiple sport thing. Stan says, I want to see the freshmen playing more. Well, Stan, they have already been playing so much. I think there was a stat out there I saw, the number of stats a true freshman had across the country, and Auburn was up there, if not leading or something like that. So if you want more of that, then we're going to be well eclipsing our own mark at this point. I do like that we're giving so many guys opportunities to play early, because I think it shows it's a good recruiting tool. It's a good foundation builder, especially in a year that's not shaping out to be the way we had all hoped it might be. So building for the future in particular positions, I think is an important thing, especially when some injuries crop up. Spears says, when was the last time we had a 1,000-yard rusher? We had a streak under Gus. Tank, I think, was the last one. So since it wasn't that long ago, Tank Bigsby, I believe, is the one who last did that. Let's see. Living in Georgia, it's GA and the rest. See, no, Chris, no. Chris, no. I live in Georgia as well. I got to deal with the barking adults all the time too. I get it. But it should always be Alabama, period, in everyone's book. I'm going to fight against this to the day that I die. Nobody should be valuing the rivalry over Alabama or Georgia's over Alabama anymore. Like I get it, the history there, the ferocity, the connective tissue, but it should always be Alabama and Auburn first, not Auburn and Georgia. And I'm going to fight people on that. I'm kidding. That's just how I feel about it. I feel very strong about it. WT, good to see you. What else is being said in here? All right, David brings up heyday, ... Great thing to bring up. I thought about if I had the time to putting out a graphic kind of showing this, but let me pull it up on my monitor over here, and I want to just give you a perspective of how wide and vast the Auburn family is. I know that y'all know this. We preach about it here. I think sometimes, though, when we get in our bubble, we forget that not only are we so connected. We got 122 comments thus far on our Facebook post alone. People saying, I just realized my wife said, hey, from the living room on there. That's hilarious. This is on the post, not here. But here are some of the places that people are checking in from, because we asked them to check in on Heyday to say, hey, we've got Roanoke, Alabama, Zephyr Hills, Florida. We've got New Mexico. We've got Scottsboro, Alabama, Cleveland, Georgia, Leesburg, Georgia. What else here? There were a bunch of others. St. Louis, Missouri, Dothan, Alabama, Holt, Florida, Cherokee County, Georgia. I mean, I'm going to do a couple more here because I want to find some of these obscure ones. Not obscure, but Charlotte, North Carolina checked in. Angola, Indiana. Threw me off for a second. Thought we were going to have somebody from the country, Angola. New Haven, Connecticut. I know we had our friend Brian in Minnesota check in. Morristown, New Jersey. Dallas, Texas. Memphis, Tennessee. Richmond, Virginia. Leona, New Jersey. That's 2 New Jerseys. Didn't expect that. A couple more here, and we'll get out of here. To all kinds of Alabamas, all kinds of Georgias. Maybe there's another 1 or 2 here that we're not in that. There's our Minneapolis friend. Gainesville, Florida. Foxborough, Massachusetts. That's another Massachusetts one. Another Missouri. So you get the point, right? The Auburn family is vast. The Auburn family is wide. The Auburn family goes outside of the United States. And it's a great on days like this where we can kind of celebrate that. So happy Heyday to all of you out there. And thank you so much to you guys that all checked in and participated in that. I know I just talked about it. I preach about it, but it does my little Auburn heart good to see how many different places that we hail from as the Auburn family. Let's see here. What are you guys talking about now? WT says, I know this comment is better served tomorrow night, but I feel like we will win this weekend. It's served for right now. We've talked a little bit about the game. Remember, in WT, you're giving me a great opportunity to talk about this. And I can't remember if I've said it on the Auburn Experience recording this past Sunday or not. But right now, there is no, you notice I've been trying to do a better job of putting up the next show here on YouTube available for you guys to go and like or hit the notify me bell. That's a huge help if you can do that, by the way. It'll help you get the notifications as well, even if you're subscribed. But I'm at Tipoff at Toomer's tomorrow during our normal time for that. So as of this moment, we are not doing that show tomorrow night. Now, I will tell you that I have the title card ready, all that stuff, because I want to try to pull it off somewhere, somehow before Saturday arrives, but we'll see. I'm not certain that it's going to happen, but there is no official preview show this week simply because I will be traveling to Auburn tomorrow. Calling Updike stupid is an insult to stupid people. We don't speak ill of the dead unless it's Harvey Updike, I guess. 313, are you checking in from Michigan? All the way up there? You need to announce that every time. If this is the case and where you reside, we need to know this every time that you check in so we can. I love that. And I kind of stopped asking for it as often every time we start a live stream because it kind of not as many people were participating. But I'd love that if that can continue to be the way you all announce yourself into the chat every time, like your War Eagle and then where you're checking in from. If you can just do that as regular followers, because I mean, obviously I memorize a lot of y'all where y'all are from, but it's just kind of cool when you're a person in the Auburn family, you're coming into the stream for the first time and you see how many different people are checking in from 1,000 different places. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. So do that if you can. Stan thinks that one win will turn this thing around. I don't know that one win does it. I think one win definitely shifts the temperature in a time where we really need to do that. And I don't know if this win's going to come in the form of Missouri or Kentucky, but I feel like when we get home, we can certainly get a few more. I certainly hope so. One really important one that if we can do that, it'll make those wounds that have opened up this year a little bit better. Got an Auburn story. It looks like when I was in the Navy and stationed in San Diego, California, whenever I wore an Auburn shirt, I always yelled or had War Eagle yelled at me and loved that. Oh, you know what? Okay, I meant to post this reel before I went live about heyday and just about, when you see somebody in an Auburn shirt, essentially. I'm going to post it as soon as we get done. Dadgummit, is a good one. I thought it was a good one. We're trying to do a few more of those funny reels because I think a lot of you enjoy them. At least some of our numbers show that. But that's a cool Auburn story right there. All right. What else? What else is on your minds? Is there anything that y'all want me to see or try to do at Tipoff at Toomer's? I will be in the fan part of it. I don't know where, which is part of the reason I'm trying to be out there early. I wish I had one of those. You've seen these like foldy chairs that are like this big that you can put like in a backpack that I can just sit down on for the few hours that I'm going to be there. Weather's going to be nice. It's going to be chilly by the time it starts, but no rain. If we're forecast as far as I have seen, is going to make for a very fun night on the plains. So my goal is to share some stuff from there. Keep in mind, for those of you that are Conquer Club members, and y'all know whenever I'm in Auburn, especially, I try to give y'all some exclusive stuff at the Eagle tier level. The reception at Toomer's Corner when there's crowds of people there is horrible. And I do mean horrible. Like, it's the reason that we can't live stream from Sanford Hall lawn, essentially. So if there are not a lot of updates coming through on social media, but much less y'all in the app, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. I'll try my best, though. If you're going to Tipoff at Toomer's, can you keep Austin away from the team? Well, Austin did say on the stream on Sunday that he would probably not make this event. So I think we're safe there. So no worries. No worries. Who's going to be the MVP in basketball this year, in your opinion? That's Janai. I mean, come on. Corey, that's such an easy answer. It's not even funny. It's Janai Broom. I'm not saying other people aren't going to have great years, but I think Janai is such a great example of what at least used to be an atypical story in college sports or college basketball, if you just want to keep it there, of players that stayed the full time to maximize their opportunities at the NBA, especially draft level. You got a lot of players that go way too early because they just are sold, and NIL changes everything too. So I grant you that, but are just sold that your height, your marketability will never be higher than this point. But then they either don't get drafted or they get drafted low or whatever, and they just kind of falter out. To me, Janai is one of those cool stories of a guy, because of NIL, got to stick around for his full potential here at Auburn. And we are going to see that, I think, knock on wood, him flourish in a way that is just going to be incredible this year. Let's just pray that he stays very, very healthy throughout all of this. I have one of those chairs and I loved it till I tried to get up. Oh, I know I'm getting older every day. And so I know that that's going to be a risk one day of me trying to get up out of one of those chairs. But when you're having to wait at a place for like 2 to 3 hours, you'll enjoy that chair. Because I think this thing's going to get crowded tomorrow. And if I want any kind of angle or shot at, some of the stuff that's going to be out there, I'm going to have to get somewhat close and get there early. So, is Mr. Beautiful, is this his 5th season? I think it's only his 4th. I could be wrong, but let's look it up. Because I remember us talking about it last year, and we thought he might go last year. Let's look. This is his 5th season. I had it wrong. 2 years at Morehead State and 2 at Auburn, and what will be his 5th season. So he made full usage of that Auburn experience. So you couldn't have blamed him if he went last year, right? WT, I have always felt that unless you're a freak athlete, that 4 years of college ball really set a player up for the NBA, both in athletic ability and mental development. Yes, for the most part, I agree with you. I think the problem is that people get so worried that I'm going to injure myself, that my marketability is never going to be higher, and that's why they go way, way, way too early. I think Bryce actually had. I think he was a senior. I think it was Jared who went. Jared, I think, could have stuck around for a little bit longer. Let's find out here. I'm curious. I really want to. Now we're diving into the woods here. I want to look at some of these things. Jared Harper, Auburn. Boop, 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 doo, doo, doo. Give me a second. Stats. So 3 years at Auburn, and I think he came straight out of high school, so he could have had one more year at Auburn. I was trying to see if he had looked on ESPN, but that gives you his New Orleans Pelicans stuff, not his college stuff. Miss old Jared Harper, miss him a lot. Unbeaten Lake talks about non-conference schedule is brutal, and we start with a tournament team, Vermont, who went 28-7 last season. You bring up a great point with this comment, Unbeaten Lake, because not only is it just a great non-conference schedule in general, because when you talk about teams like Houston, you talk about teams like Purdue, whoever we get to face at Maui Invitational, UConn's on the table, Iowa State, several others. You talk about Ohio State in Atlanta, plenty of others, and then the SEC. That's always at the top of the table when we talk about this. However, what's often forgot about is what has been a continual bright spot, I would say, but something that Bruce and his staff and those that are in charge of bringing the schedule about, something that gets lost in all of the hype about the big teams, is who they choose to bring in terms of the small, quote unquote, the smaller teams. They're bringing in people that were either in the tournament last year, are expected to be in the tournament this year, are expected to be conference champions, or just are defending conference champions of these quote unquote smaller mid-major conferences, whether it's Vermont, talking about somebody else. Now you got to throw like a handful of what we would call the rinky dinks in there, right? You got to have some of those that you just go out there and take care of business on. And those usually come right before SEC play. And I would argue, without having the schedule pulled up at this exact moment, that that's going to be the case this year. But you bring up a great point. The schedule is tough, not just because of the big names, but because Bruce Pearl has always valued testing yourself as best as you can, even against the smaller team. So there is not going to be a week off pretty much throughout this entire schedule, and even when you get into SEC play. Now they get NIL and they stay longer. That is a huge part of it, and to ignore that would be naive. But I also think that if you are someone that, it can't be all about money. The place that you are can really send it over the top for you. Bruce talked a lot about this during SEC tip-off this week, and he had Janai sitting right next to him. And whether he meant it or not, I'm just going to take him as where Janai's nodding along while he's saying that. He's like, it's not just the fact that NIL helped him provide for his family to keep him here out of the NBA, but he loves Auburn. And what he gets to experience here, what he gets to participate in, what he gets to be a part of. And so for Janai, I've seen Janai just zipping around on game days before and stopping to hang out with people. So I think he's a guy, and a lot of others are, that just loves the Auburn experience. I know I do. All right, we're getting in the woods here now. I love talking about all these things. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Auburn tennis teams? I don't get to follow them anymore. Why don't you get to follow them? Are you not on X? Or, they have, wherever you are on social media, they've got an account. You should follow them that way. Here's what I know. Bobby Reynolds is the head coach of the men, and brand new head coach Jordan Szabo, who we've got his press conference up when he was announced earlier this year. If you're interested in that on YouTube and Facebook, his first-year head coach. Both programs have been very competitive. I love going to tennis matches when it aligns with my schedule being there. I would highly encourage you to do the same, especially when the weather starts to warm up again, but it's not hot. You can have some really great afternoons out there at the Auburn Tennis Center. So highly, highly, highly recommend. It's not prestige, like toity or, quiet and all. There are quiet moments, but there's a lot of energy, excitement, like, moments at a tennis match. So you should definitely check them out if you haven't done so. Shout out to the women's soccer team for being number 11 and having a very, 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 very good year. I like NIL for the fact that a lot of athletes do not have to decide between taking care of their family and being where they want to be. I meant do not get to follow them. Okay, closely because of work, family obligations. Gotcha. Well, that's all I know of them at this time. Back to your point about taking care of family. Yeah, it's not every kid's story that plays college athletics, but some kids, they come from, not as well-off circumstances. And so it gives them an opportunity to do that for themselves and for their family. And so, we lament about NIL, we groan about it. We talk about how in some cases it seems to be ruining some things, but unfortunately, or fortunately, however you'd like to view it, I think the good is still matching the bad of it. And there are a lot of good stories behind NIL really making a difference for some people's lives. And for some certain teams, opportunities, because we may not have Janai Broom for a 5th year without NIL. So I am thankful for it in that sense. Does Auburn have a bowling team? I don't know if they have a club team. Let's find out. I'm looking it up right now. They do not have an NCAA Auburn Club Bowling. What the heck? Friends of Auburn Bowling Club. I don't know what that is. Auburn University Intramural Bowling League. So it doesn't look like it's even like a club team. It looks like it's just intramurals. Yeah, that's all it looks like right now. Interesting question. But here, I will be honest with you guys. I'm trying to do a better job of, especially when I'm in Auburn, looking up some of these club teams and going to some of their matches and games and stuff like that. I went to a rugby match for the last home weekend, and I didn't stay the whole time, but it was fun to check that out. So if you haven't, go check out a rugby match. That was a lot of fun. It's very, obviously football-esque. Unbeaten Lake says, whoop, there it goes. Can we appreciate Bruce getting Kessler, Broom back-to-back? Our next big man could be one of those games we have scheduled, like how Bruce found Broom. Certainly there's a trend there. It's a very important cycle, recruiting-wise, transfer portal-wise, for Bruce Pearl. When you lose Janai Broom, that creates a vacuum in and of itself. But it also creates a vacuum when you talk about the fact that you're losing Janai Broom, Dylan Cardwell, Chris Moore, JP Pegues, that you're losing. I'm trying to think of who else would fall into that category as well. I think those are the main ones. You're losing a lot of big men and larger men power and leadership. So it's going to be a very interesting cycle, I think, a very popping recruiting cycle for Auburn basketball. Now, they've already got the shooting guard. Trying to remember his name. I keep wanting to say Powell, but that was the linebacker that we got out of Auburn a couple years back. It's who he reminds me of. Anyway, he's out of the Huntsville area as a shooting guard, so that's the first one for the next class. So there's that. Yeah, club rugby team, check them out. I wish there was a full calendar where you could see all those type of things. If I ever get in front of someone that manages that, I'm going to be pushing for it because I'd love to experience some of these things. We do have a club hockey team. We've actually interviewed in our audio podcast. This is why you should never miss out on any content that we do. They should be following us everywhere, but our audio podcast too, because sometimes we have podcasts that we can't do a video portion of that you are missing out on. So we have interviewed the rugby team a couple seasons ago, and we did that as well with the hockey team about them competing. I think they were competing for the national title that year. So we're trying to do our part. I'm doing my part to give some coverage to all of these not intramurals, but clubs teams. But the hockey team, that's if I had to choose one team to be able to create a small facility for and turn into a varsity sport, I would probably do the hockey team, and I would make a men's and women's version of that so we didn't run into Title IX issues. But there's that facility, the indoor facility for the former indoor football practice facility. And I know it's still used for some things, but my pitch would be to either turn that into an indoor track and field facility if it's big enough, which I think it is, so we can host indoor track and field events here and actually be able to go to those. Or, because it probably could be done both, turn it into an ice hockey rink and actually have varsity sports that people could come attend there for that. You think it wouldn't do well in Alabama? I think you'd be shocked with the amount of people that would probably get on board for that. And Southeastern ice hockey is becoming a bigger thing than people realize. So there you go. Yeah, right now they do their matches in Columbus, I think. I think it's the closest one for them, but that could have changed by now. All right, switching gears here a little bit. I'm not looking forward to seeing us against Duke and Houston. Those will be tough ones. You're not looking forward to it, Corey? Corey, what type of basketball fan are you? These are matchups you dream of. Will we lose them? Maybe. But come on, man. You got to be excited. To me, I mean, obviously anybody can have their own opinions about it, but to me, the excitement of this type of schedule, this type of non-conference schedule, has far outweighed my fear of it. This is the stuff that I dreamed of for Auburn football forever, and Bruce has brought it to fruition. Houston, Purdue, Duke. How did I not talk about Duke earlier? All of that is incredible. I'm just excited about it. All right. We are at 50 minutes here in the stream. We have not heard from anybody else thus yet, but I am happy. I guess I took the little thing down. I didn't realize I had turned it off. But you can still call in if you'd like. Hit the link at the top. We'd love to hear from you if you haven't done so before. This is, I seriously, and I know I make this pitch a lot. Some of you that have been here for a while, I'd love for you to just give it a try. Just call, even if you want to call in and just hang up on me real quick. Just do that little small step to get used to doing it, because we'd love to hear from some of you guys on a regular basis. This is a good time to do it when there's only a few minutes left in the show, or scheduled show time. Just get it over with. Pull that Band-Aid off. Hit the link. Don't be on the camera if you want to. You can just be your voice, and let's hear from you tonight. All right. While you're thinking about that, other comments, other questions, let me do the rundown for you as we always do. Most of you know the drill. However, we do need to talk about it just in case. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Alumni Hall. This is a great way to support us when you shop at Alumni Hall. If you'll go through the link that we have on all of our one link, it's called our link tree there on YouTube in the description. And you go buy something from there. It's a kickback to us. So that's a way to support them and support us if you're interested. Here's your upcoming schedule. Keep in mind, we just talked about this in the middle of the show. Right now, there is no actively scheduled preview show, but this is what you'll be looking for if it does get scheduled. Our normal time on Thursday evenings, I will be in Auburn at Auburn's Tipoff at Toomer's. So, don't know when, don't know how. I would like to still have a preview show, but I can't guarantee that it's going to happen. It definitely won't happen at the normal scheduled time of 8 p.m. on Thursday nights. But if we miss it, we miss it, but I'll try to make it happen. We will have a post-game show. That'll be obviously at a very decent time for all of you. So I expect to see all of you here live from the studio, as I will not be traveling to Columbia. Well, almost at South Carolina, Missouri. Hopefully we won't be in Missouri after the game, and it'll be a celebration, but we'll do our post-game reaction show. And then, of course, episode 98, marching to that 100 episode at 9 o'clock on Sunday evenings. Go. Here's a little bit of a tip for you guys about the Auburn Experience show. I was thinking about this today on our walk. You can always expect for the standard time to be 9 o'clock on Sunday evenings, Eastern time. When we are together, when Austin and I do a show together, now that we've done a few of them in person from a certain location, I think we're going to make it a standing rule that it's going to be at 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Eastern time, as I said that, at 2 p.m. Central time, when we do them together on Sundays, because that seems to work for him and works pretty well with the schedule that I typically have when I'm, in town for the week. So keep that in mind. 9 is always the time, except when we're able to be together in Auburn, unless something else changes, which often does in this crazy, crazy world that we do. Stan says, let Austin do it. Here's the thing. One day, I pull the curtain back for you guys all the time. I do this for a living. It is not a high-paying gig whatsoever. We make enough just to keep the lights going here and me to give myself a little something. I am nowhere near being able to pay someone else to be able to be on staff as a actual employee. I would love one day for that to happen. We got to have help to do that. You guys do that by being here, first of all, but by, those of you that support by the Conquer Club, those of you that are YouTube, what was it called? Subscribers, or not subscribers, because you're all subscribers if you're here. If you're a YouTube follower, I guess is what it's called. Channel member, or ads and all that kind of stuff. Once that continues to grow, and it grows every year, we'll hopefully be able to bring on maybe Austin as a regular and you can see him more often. But yeah, we'll see. It's always in the plans. It just takes some time and energy. WT says you should try to get a Duke content creator on the show for the week before that game. It's not a bad idea. I'll definitely park that one here. I don't mind that idea, actually. I wanted to do some more of those for football this year. We had the one from Cal naturally kind of pop up, which is why it happened. And those usually do very well for us. I'll be honest with you. It has been a year of just trying to kind of get some things going here. And it's definitely hard for me to break out of my normal routine and schedule and do some different things. I'm working hard to do that. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. So we'll see if I can, you can send me a reminder and we'll certainly do that. By the way, WT, I'm going to give you a call out here. I know you've joined the Conquer Club. Obviously, we thank you for that, but you should join in on the chat on the Discord. I think you've made it in there already. I'm pretty sure you're on there. We want to see you active in there some more. Let us know, talk to us in there. WT says it's inexpensive to be a member. I can't understand why more people don't do this. E2C is a wonderful place. Well, thank you so much. I'm only reading it because you wrote it, not because it's true. It is true though. I'm kidding. Yeah, it really is. I tried to make the entry level, whether you're talking about the Conquer Club or being a channel member on YouTube, a subscriber, whatever the title they give you on Facebook that you can do it. We try to make the entry one in $1. If you want to do more, there's ways to do that by joining the Conquer Club, but it's a very easy way to help keep the lights on here. And we hope that we give you the value that you can. Oh, we're just about to get out of here, but there's our good friend Randy from the Dogcast. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for hanging out or stopping by to say hello. We just had a conversation about Auburn, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, the dynamics of that rivalry, which is the more important. I, as a resident of Georgia, understand the ferocity of the Auburn-Georgia rivalry, but it will always be Auburn-Alabama as the primary one, and that will never change. But we had some people that disagreed, Randy. We did. I said Auburn-Georgia first. Let's see here. My time is very short for my hobbies, interests. I try to get on there whenever I can. And no pressure. I just want to encourage. If you are in the Conquer Club, I want to encourage you all to really take advantage of those things whenever you can, because you're paying for them. And some of you just want to be there just to support us, and that's very, very kind of you. But I also want you to take advantage of those things that you get, because we are building a nice little. The community here is great, like on our live streams and all that stuff. But there's a little community within the community that I really love, and a lot of you guys are here right now. That's very much valued. So if you want to be a part of that, it's a good time to kind of jump in there. There's not a lot of this mess that happens on a lot of message boards. At least we kind of keep it at that kind of stuff. So I hope you guys that are a part of it find value. Okay, got a few minutes left here. Let's see. Randy says, dogs have 3 actual rivals, Florida, Auburn, and Georgia Tech. Folks' age usually determines which is most important. And that's probably a very fair point on either sides of that coin. I think a lot of people now, and those especially that live in Georgia, would probably put the Georgia rivalry up bigger for them in the Auburn-Georgia dynamic, Auburn-Alabama dynamic. Outside looking in, I would always put Auburn and Georgia's rivalry first for them. That's just me as an outside perspective. So if I was a Georgia fan, based on what I have experienced, as I know that's weird to say it that way, I would put Auburn first. I know that the cocktail party thing down there is such a big thing, or at least it was when Florida was actually decent. I get that maybe the bigger thing there. But Georgia Tech, it's not a rivalry anymore until they actually become more relevant. You can call it a rivalry, Randy. Y'all can. Here's the thing. I want a world where Georgia Tech is not only more relevant to the conversation, but also is a rival for us again. Because there is more that connects us at Georgia Tech than people realize, Auburn and Georgia Tech. And I want to see that day arrive again because I miss some of the old traditions and the old ways. All right. We're going to wind down our time here. It was good to hear from you all. We had some great perspectives tonight. And thank you to Kevin for calling in tonight. You guys are always welcome to do so. So don't be shy. Don't let it intimidate you. Definitely continue to help us build this little family within the Auburn family by telling somebody that you know to get here, hang out with us, continue to grow our little family. Thank you all for hanging out tonight. We appreciate it. Keep up to date with us on social media so you know what we're doing tomorrow or for the preview show or whatever, since it's up in the air at this point. But thank you guys so much for being here and hanging out with me tonight. Until I talk to you again. War Eagle.